Hey everybody, welcome back. I am bored. COVID made me bored, and today at the table, I'm taking a look at Street Fighter, the miniature game. This was done, I think, maybe 4 years ago as a Kickstarter, and I grew up playing Street Fighter 2. I remember having those late nights with my friends, doing round robins, a tournament style, just going at it with I think it was Street Fighter 2 Turbo Champion Edition, and yeah, it was great memories, great times. I loved playing the game. I was never good at it, and I think I developed a handful of thumb blisters just trying to pull off those Hadoukens. Um, and first of all, you're just gonna have to excuse me. I'm just been recovering from a little bit of bronchitis, so my voice isn't quite the same. I'm probably gonna be coughing a little bit here and there, but I'll try to keep it down to a minimum. So, but I just was excited to just start at least recording this video because I'm really enjoying this game. Now, first of all, it's a Kickstarter. I think there was produced by Jasco Games, obviously licensed by Capcom, and uh, it was, I think, co-created or created by Joe Vargas, I'm going to say. I can't remember his name. And he's some kind of YouTuber, popular YouTuber guy. I never watched it. He's referred to as Angry Joe, but he collaborated with Jasco and developed this miniature game for Street Fighter. And the other card game that I have is the Street Fighter Exceed or Exceed Street Fighter version. And I really enjoyed that card game for what it is. I felt like it really brought the sort of, excuse me, 1v1 Street Fighter style. You are moving in a linear format. The cards that you play, you have are sort of mimicking the kind of actions or attacks that you'd find in Street Fighter. And in the game, you sort of had two, I guess, power meters that you'd be sort of building up or observing. One was force, which helps you pay for certain boosts that you have, ongoing effects, even movement. And then you had gauge, which was used to pay for, I guess, more powerful attacks. So like your EX attacks and your Ultra attacks. So in Street Fighter miniature game, there's a lot of similarity, obviously, because it's Street Fighter. You're going to have EX attacks, you're going to have your Ultra attacks, but you only have to worry about one type of power, which is meter, and that's what you use to pay for certain things, either to boost your EX attacks or to pay for certain abilities or your Ultra. When I, excuse me, when I looked over the Kickstarter, I never saw the Kickstarter actually. I totally missed it because I think that happened before I got into board gaming and before I even knew about Kickstarter. But I looked at the previous Kickstarter post. It looked great. The miniatures looked fantastic, and I thought, wow, this looks amazing. And it's unfortunate it never hit retail. I don't think it hit retail. And there was a lot to it. But I think it took 3 years for it to get delivered. And I'm not even sure if everyone, if it's all been fulfilled or not. But I felt compelled to see if I could find it. And I looked on, I saw eBay, a lot of people selling their copy. I think there are 3 different pledge levels plus a whole bunch of expansions. And they were well overpriced. Not overpriced, just very expensive. Because it's an IP that a lot of people like me grew up with. It's nostalgic. It's got great miniatures, almost collectible-like miniatures. And I think they could just easily just jack up the price just because of that. So so I felt that, okay, it's not worth it. And then on top of that, shipping. The amount of components in I think the World Fighter Pledge, or I think something like that, it must have been tremendous, in the hundreds of dollars maybe, to have this shipped, because I think in total it was like 30 pounds. Anyway, so I sort of gave up sort of the search because I don't think it was worth paying that kind of fortune. And I have paid a fortune, not a fortune, but I've overpaid for certain games. One secondhand or two brand new in shrink, but they knew that they could sell for higher. And I ended up biting the bullet for that one and for those and getting them. But I enjoy the game. I did my research, so I did more research on this, and I just felt like I'll give it a second chance. I'm gonna try again. So I landed on BGG forums marketplace, and I saw someone that was selling, and I thought it was quite reasonable. And they had the full pledge plus a ton of extras that they had gotten. So they got all the expansions. They got the boss expansion. They got like 6 packs of dice. They had all the extra maps. So they basically got everything and plus a handful of extra dice. And I think altogether, probably about in the $600 range. And they were listing it for about a third of that, which I thought was fantastic. And it was, sure, it's secondhand, it's used. He sent me a couple. I inquired. He sent me a couple pictures. Everything looked like it was in good shape. Miniatures still look good, and all the components seemed to be in relatively good condition. So I worked out a great deal with shipping because it just so happened that the parcel service that I typically, or that would be typically used in my area, they were offering sort of a free shipping days, and up to a certain amount, like £5. So the seller fortunately was willing to break up the shipment. So at the end of the day, I was able to get pretty much the World Fighter pledge, plus extra dice, plus the extra expansions, plus everything else for that price that he was selling for, and not having to spend hundreds of dollars on shipping. So it actually worked out really well, and I'm very, very happy with it. So when it comes to the game, the artwork here it's beautiful, and it's obviously licensed by Capcom. And now I know at the time of this filming, another Street Fighter game has just completed its funding on a GameFound, which was Street Fighter V Champion Edition. I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure. I think that's what it's called. And slightly different. This Street Fighter miniature game is 1v1, or not 1v1. It plays up to 6 people, and you can play in teams. You can play together, or you can play against each other. Free for all. There's various modes, but the Street Fighter V that just got funded, that is a purely cooperative, almost dungeon crawl like with Street Fighter miniatures. And I've been following it, and I did post a comment in my community page a while back saying, "Hey, this looks really interesting. I'm so glad I didn't pledge. I'm so glad I didn't back that, because everything changed about it, and so many people were disappointed with excuse me, the final outcome, the way they handled it. I think the way that there were so many restrictions from Capcom, and I understand that Capcom wants to protect their IP, so it's not a blaming game at this point. It's just unfortunate that what was presented is very different from what is being delivered to those backers. And I think there are a lot of people who pulled out, a lot of people who want refunds, a lot of people who spent the money and now the cost has slightly changed and they're not sure how they're getting that money back or where is that going to. So it's unfortunate. But with this one, it seemed like everything was relatively smooth. But if you have the game, if you were part of one of the backers on Kickstarter for Street Fighter miniature game, and it wasn't a very smooth experience for you, comment below. Let me know. I'd be interested to know that process, because I've been very hesitant with certain Kickstarters, and certain Kickstarters I've been eyeing that I said, you know what, I'll hold off on it. In a year's hindsight, I'm so glad I didn't back them, because it was like a crazy disaster. So for this game, it's just, the artwork is great. The idea is great. Yes, one of the key deviations compared to, say, the actual video game and Exceed Street Fighter is that you're in a playing field. So you have lateral movement, vertical and lateral movement, not just linear. So this introduces a different variable of position, and there are terrain elements, which I think is really interesting. And I think that some people sort of said, "Oh, why is it? Why have a grid movement? Street Fighter's not grid." Well, Street Fighter V is on a sort of a dungeon crawl grid. No way, I don't see anybody complaining about that. But in this game, I feel like, well, if you're going to introduce up to 6 players, and you're going to have sort of a free-for-all or team-based options, well, you kind of need a bigger platform to play on. Otherwise, it really is just 1v1. And I feel like there are times where I have these 1v1 games where I feel like, oh man, wouldn't it be fun if I could team up with somebody? You know, tag team 2-on-2, or just a free-for-all. That would be so much fun. And the closest one I have to that is probably Luchador Mexican Wrestling Dice. So when I saw that, I thought that's really interesting too. And I read the rule book, and I think there was a revised copy on Jasco, but obviously Jasco is now defunct, so I can't find that anymore. But fortunately, someone else posted it, so I did pick up a more updated copy. And I think there's even fans out there who have gone through a process, or a single fan out there who's gone through the process of sort of revising some of the cards to make it more balanced. So you could have a full printout of every single character with updated card text to sort of make gameplay more balanced. Now, I've only played this maybe about 10 times so far at the point of filming this game, and I haven't seen the imbalance yet. But mind you, I'm mostly focusing on a solo variant that I have, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So, getting back to the game, I think you're going to probably, if not already, know a lot about this out there when it was released and when it was fulfilled. But I'm just going to go quickly through some of the components and then just go sort of a quick run through. There's a lot of information on how to play, all the rules, and so forth that you can probably find from other videos, and if not, you already know. But I just wanted to go through. I just want to talk about some of my favorite characters. Let me see here. Can you really see this there? Okay. So obviously we have Ken. Now another thing I want to mention is that with the World Fighter Pledge or World Warrior Pledge, it came with 37 characters. And I think I only know maybe 16 of them. So I don't know anything past Street Fighter 2 Turbo Championship Edition. So I don't know Street Fighter 3. I don't know Street Fighter Alpha. I don't know Street Fighter 5. I don't know any of those characters. So there's going to be a few here that I look at them and say, looks interesting, but don't know who they are. So I have no nostalgic connection with these ones. But I just want to talk about a bit about these minis, which they're about 3 inches, 3 to 4 inches, depending on the mini. And they are already pre-painted. They have a wash to them, a sort of a dark wash to highlight some of the features. You can see his delts. But the pose, the way it's capturing his Shoryuken, or this is the enhanced Shoryuken, the fire one, whichever it's called. Shoryuken, I believe that's how you pronounce it. It really captures that spirit of Ken doing it. And I really like that. It's so impressive. And mind you, these are very delicate. When it was shipped to me, obviously it was secondhand, so the guy never kept the original inserts. But as I understand it, the original inserts were sort of a pain in the butt to pull out. Kind of like my G.I. Joe Mission Critical insert, where it takes a lot of force, where I feel like they're going to break, and they're going to come out. So yeah, sure, a few pieces got broken, but glued it back together, not a problem. But they're very delicate. Here's Sagat, whatever. And look at it, he's already doing his tiger flame or tiger ball or whatever. I don't know. Clearly I'm not a super Street Fighter fan, but I'd enjoy playing it and I grew up with it, so that's enough for me. But you can see he's leaning into it, and you can feel the power coming towards you. Look at all that detail. It's very nice plastic or resin or whatever they're using. You've got my other favorite here. You've got Ryu, again, that dark wash to really show the details in his delts and his muscles and chest and whatever. And here he is, firing up his Hadouken, the energy swirling around him. It's almost like it captured the animation of the game so well. And it's so detailed. And what's really interesting too is all the bases, almost every single base is unique to the character. And I think that's really interesting. They could have just easily put on a flat black base. No sculpt, no nothing, no paint. But I feel the quality here, they put in a lot of love. Here's Vega, And you can see he's doing that lunge. He's doing that little, I never played Vega when I was playing Street Fighter, so I don't really know him that well. But he did this sort of roll and then jab. It was really unpredictable. He's like very agile. He's a very agile character. But if you look at this, you can see it. You can see he's coming out of that roll. He's got that speed that he's built up, and he's just lunging towards you. It's fantastic. And again, the wash really helps. And I do one more favorite. No, two more favorites. I'm not going to go through every character, but I definitely want to highlight some of these action ones that I think are great. Like here's Dalsum, and here he's doing his Yoga Flame, or possibly Yoga Fire. And again, he's got that build up. He's suspended in midair, and he's just letting it go. And look at it's just the detailing. Very nice. And you've got E Honda. I'm only doing the ones I know. I'm not going to talk about the other ones I don't know. But here he's got his 100-hand slap, and I like it. I like that ghosting effect. There's a few that have that. Really nice, really interesting. You can see it's his base is based on his level, which is I think it was the pool room of something. One of the newer ones I think that were in the Champion Edition that I don't remember in the original Street Fighter. Here's Balrog, and he's doing that sort of uppercut swing. And you can see how nice and detailed that is. And then let's see another one. I'll put this one here. Let me talk about some of the ones that I'm. Oh no, you know what? I'll do one more. You've got Blanca with his electric charge. He's building up that charge to electrocute you. This isn't one of my favorite poses because I don't really feel it's capturing an action. But he definitely has that nice electricity charge around him, which I think is really cool. You've got M. Bison, who has that, sort of authoritative pose with all the muscle, and he's levitating himself, ready to bring on some destruction for you. Very nice. But then there's a few here that I feel like I don't get it, and it's probably because I don't know the character. So here you have Dan. I think he's in, maybe Street Fighter Alpha. I don't remember. So I have no context to this, but I gotta tell you, I'm not a fan of this pose. The detailing is great; it's really nice, but I'm not a fan of the pose. It doesn't for me, it doesn't capture anything. But then again, I don't know the character, so I can't really speak. That maybe it's an inside joke or something that everyone knows about, except for me. Here's Chun-Li again doing her. I don't know, flying kick of some kind, but look at her face. Look at her expression. She's sort of making that holler or shout of attack. Very nicely done. And there's 37 of them. It's amazing. You're going to find terrain pieces because in the game you can collide with terrain and you take a point of damage, of undefendable damage, if you manage to do that. So that's where sort of position matters, and in some of the attacks that you play, you're able to knock them back a certain number. So you're going to have crates, which had to be assembled, and then you're going to have some trees, right, which are all very nice. Different levels. There are eight different, I guess, levels that you can choose from, and each level has its own setup of terrain, so that's why there's quite a few terrain pieces. Here's one of the crates that you might find on Guile's stage. I think the original core box comes with 2, and then the boss expansion came with another 2, and I think you could buy 2 more, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it came with 1, and then you could buy 2 more. I can't remember, but in any case, that's one part of the components. You also have some lamps, rocks, you even have some elephants, I think, that you can use for Dalsum's level. And then you've got the health tracker. The health tracker has 2 areas. One is, actually this is not the one I want to show. One is your health, and every player has, generally speaking, they have the same health, like 20, it's somewhere between 23 to 26 or 27. And so you would set it as you take damage. You would decrease it, and then down here you keep track of your meter. So I I think one of the things I've been reading about this is that there's tremendous complaints about this, which is you get 6 of these, plus 2 more for the boss expansion, and everyone says throw them out. They're useless. They're completely useless um, because of this problem. Because of this problem. Here we go. See how easily this spins? It's almost like a Wheel of Fortune. There's absolutely nothing, no friction, no nothing. The dials are not tight enough, and that's the issue. Second issue people had with this is that there's no zero for your health. And you're supposed to start at 0 meter. This is your meter, and that pays for your ultra and a few other boosts. There's no 0 there either. So huge oversight, and I have an issue with that in particular. Okay, fine. The dials, they're loose. Okay. But at some point, this must have been tested by multiple people. And at some point, everyone would have said at the beginning of their game, okay, set your health. Okay, everybody set your health. Okay, I'm 26. Okay, set your meter to 0. Wait, hold on. And I kind of feel the roundtable discussion was, oh, shoot. Well, too late now. Let's just move forward with it. I honestly think that's how it went, because you couldn't have play tested this without noticing that you don't have a 0. I can't believe that. So I'm not going to say, yeah, that's incredibly stupid. No, it's definitely an oversight. They probably knew about it, and they probably said, it's fine, let's just move forward. Because, to have to redo it and reprint it, it's going to, cost them more. So anyways, so issue number 1. So a lot of people have been using other means to track their health. So something that I thought might help, and I thought I would share it with everybody, if you have this game, or maybe you still have these dials, I don't know, is if you'll notice here, I don't know if you can tell here, I put some tape and paper. So basically I took a small piece of paper, I folded it to get some thickness. And then what I did was I inserted it so that the piece of paper is sort of in between both of these. Now I have tape on here, some Scotch tape just to keep it in place. And I've actually had to add in an extra little piece of paper for some friction. And for this one, okay, it doesn't spin as fast. This one doesn't spin as fast. So it's not super tight, it doesn't lock in place, but it definitely provides more friction so that as you pick it up off the table or you pick up to change it out, it doesn't suddenly move on you. So it's not the most elegant solution, but it works. And no one's going to see back here anyways. So if you have this game and you're struggling with the dials and you hate it and you're cursing at it because you don't remember whether you had 4 meter or 5 meter because it shifted on you, put in a couple pieces of paper, tape it down till you get that right thickness, until you feel that there's enough friction, and then that's it. And your problem is solved. I think that's an easy and cheap solution for this particular problem. So, because if I had it on the table here and I started moving it, these would be shifting already. And it's very frustrating. You're going to have a bunch of dice. I believe the core box comes with the red set. The person who I bought this from also purchased 2 additional reds and two additional, I think it's purple. So it's nice to have. So you're going to have the different results. You're going to have sort of a successful attack or defense, a defense, double attack somewhere. Where's your double attack? And then you'll have the meter, which is you gain meter. So what's really interesting is about if you roll the meter, I kind of feel like this is the kind of game where you don't really have any terrible rolls, like no misses. But if you gain meter, you move up your gauge, you get a maximum of 8. And at any point, if you gain more, you don't get any more. When you spend it, at any point you spend meter to roll dice, you spend meter for an attack, and then you roll your dice. If you end up with meter again, you don't get the gain meter. Certain attacks allow you to convert meter into a successful fist or attack, which adds to your overall value. So I thought that was kind of neat. So it's kind of neat, and I have to tell you that I really love and appreciate the marbling of the dice. It's really nice. If I were to give a comment on quality, I think this is sort of resonates across the board with everyone who's reviewed this game. Exceptional. Except for the health dial, which is fine. But in itself, the quality is good. It's nice, thick cardboard. Sure, it's missing a 0. Fine, live with it. Easy fix if you want to get a little bit of friction. The minis, hands down, the best I've ever seen. The card quality for the terrain, again, very nice thick card quality. The dice, very nice. But the cards that come with it, not so much. Very thin and flimsy. So this is a reuse card. You get your character card, you get a little bit of flavor text in the back, but this gives you their basic stats, which includes what their ultra is, range, how many dice you roll, any special conditions. It tells you their movement, and as well as their beginning or starting health, again, which varies usually between 23 to 26 or 27, depending on the character. And then you get a deck of 40 cards for them of all their different, I think, 3 different types. You have events, you have attacks, and you have, I think there was one called, no, maybe just the 2. They're either events or attacks. Yeah. And of your attacks, you have 3 different kinds. You have specials, you have strikes, and you have projectiles. And each one, there's no cost to pay. There's no cost that you need to pay for most of the cards. The only ones that you have to pay for are your supers. There are super attacks here. Let me find one right here. And it specifically tells you need to spend 4 meter to play as an attack. So it'll show that you have the number of dice that you roll. If it's yellow, if you see the yellow dice, there is a typo, I guess, or incongruency between the rule book and what's on the card. It's supposed to say EX attack. And when you see the yellow die, that means you can spend 1 meter and a maximum of 1 meter to add 1 dice to the roll if you have meter to spend. It'll tell you if there's any movement that goes with it. So there's charge, which means you're pushing your character. There's a dash, which means you move up to and stop when you get to the character or adjacent to the character. And then some attacks will have range. And you'll see here the left and right combo symbols. So basically in this situation, what you're looking for is being able to match any one of the color to the next card. Where's a good example right here. So if I played this card, okay, as my initial attack, and the right link shows a yellow, if I had another card and I resolved this card and I actually did damage, I can then, without costing an action, play a follow-up combo card, because on the left side I have the same matching color link. And if I had another one, I could do the same thing. And you can create a chain. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the rule book, there's no maximum. There's no limit. As long as you can create a chain, you can have, like, I don't know, a 5-card combo if you can actually pull it off and if you actually have the right cards, and assuming that each card that you resolve in the combo actually deals damage. The moment you don't deal damage is when you end the combo. So you're going to have various text, various effects. Sometimes you get an attack die if you're a certain range. Sometimes you get to push back or knock back. Sometimes you get other keywords like stun, where you discard a card from their hand, your opponent's hand, or poke, where you discard a card from the top of their deck. So all those I'm not going to cover because it's all in the rule book. And again, you have one called Mix Up, which you get to re-roll your opponent's defense dice. But I think, again, in terms of quality, these cards are very thin. The person who owned this before me obviously sleeved the cards. He didn't get a chance to sleeve all of them, and I was debating whether or not I wanted to sleeve all of them. But once I realized that the cards are so thin, and I feel like they're comparable to Terminator Genesis Rise of the Resistance board game that I have, the card quality is incredibly thin, and maybe I'll sleeve those, but I've decided, I bought about, like, I don't know, 600 somewhat Dragon Shield Perfect Fit sleeves, clear sleeves, and I'm beginning the process of sleeving the ones that he didn't sleeve. I think there was about 16 characters that he didn't sleeve. So, all in all, at least half of them are done, so I don't have to spend that much more money, but definitely I think the consensus was sleeve the cards because you want that extra protection, that extra thickness. I hate the fact that the cards slide, but can't win them all. So when it comes to the actual gameplay, it's a pretty straightforward phase. At the beginning, you choose your characters, you'll place them on certain starting positions on the board, which is outlined in the rule book. Actually, you know what? I forgot to grab a sample of the board. I'm not going to fold it out, but it's It's a fairly large board when you fold it out. I think it is a 10 by 10 grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A 9 by excuse me, a 9 by 9 grid. So it's a fairly large board. Obviously, because the minis are fairly large, this board takes up a significant size of the table. And I feel like a 9 by 9 is perfect, a perfect size, because most characters have a movement of between 2 and 3. And given the options that you have for your actions, it's very easy to get within range very quickly. Now, this is Street Fighter. This isn't a tactical skirmish game. Position does matter, but at the end of the day, you want to get in the fight. You're not sitting there on the sidelines drinking a cup of tea and having some biscuits. You want to get in there and you want to start cracking at it. So once the players have chosen their characters, they draw a hand of 5, and then during their very first turn, they don't get to draw any cards, but on follow-up turns, you would draw 2 cards at the beginning of your turn, and then you get 1 free movement, which is a free action. There are some cards that allow you to have a free action, but you do your movement first, and once you've done that, then you can take 2 additional actions, and those are costed actions. And among those, you can move again if you want to. You can choose to draw 2 more cards. I'm going to use the rule book right here. You can choose to draw 2 more cards, and then you can play a card as an attack, or whatever. It could be an event card, or it could be an attack card. Most of the time, it's an attack card. Sometimes it's an event card that does something, for example, but it's a costed action. So it'll tell you what to do, and then at that point, your opponent, and you can also use your ultra if you have enough meter. At that point, when the active player declares to do an attack, the opposing defender has the option to play a card in response to counter it. Now, the interesting part is you're playing the card face down. This is very similar to Exceed. When you declare an attack, you play a card face down. Your opponent plays a card face down. In that situation, you reveal the cards, and there is a speed indicator which says which attack goes first. The higher the number means you go first. And then if there's an aspect called guard. If you so happen to break guard, then your opponent gets to issue their attack. If you don't break guard, they get to do their attack. If you break guard, then they're unable to complete their attack. In Street Fighter the miniature game, what you'll be doing is you'll play an attack, and the type of attack is listed right here, right? But on the bottom is listed the equivalent counter attack. So if I played down a special, it's face down. My opponent is trying to guess, based on obviously my position, based on maybe my character if they know it, what kind of cards I have, the majority of cards that I have, and they may guess, I think you're gonna play a special. So if they played down a card and it was a special counter and it had a special counter, they actually successfully countered. They would negate my attack and instead carry out this attack here. So that's one key difference here compared to Exceed, is that your counter negates the other person's attack hands down if you guess right. If you guess wrong, then you have nothing to defend against. Your other option as a defender is to just block, in which case you would roll 2 dice for block and you're hoping for shields. You may have cards that allow you to discard them, such as this one, which adds 2 dice to your defense, and you can discard as many up until the point where you have 8 dice to roll for your defense. Once that's decided, then the attacker will roll whatever dice pool that they have based on their card attack. The defender would roll whatever they have. If they successfully countered, then they counter it. If they don't have a successful counter, they have no dice to roll for defense. And if they choose to block or boost their block, they would roll their dice to try to see how much they block. And then you would tally up the difference. If the attacker did damage and their card shows a combo link, and they still happen to have a card in their hand that has a matching combo link, then they can play that as a free action to continue their combo chain. And I love that. Exceed does not have that. I think that's the missing piece. Or as far as I remember, Exceed does not have combos. There might be opportunities where you get advantage because you landed a successful attack, which means you get to play it again. And in essence, maybe that's the combo. But I like the idea on this instead. So if I land damage, I can combo. If I land damage on the combo, I can, and it has another combo link, I can play it again if I have a card to match. And with each combo that I play after the initial attack, the only option that the defender has is to roll 2 dice to block, and that's it. So with that, I feel the countering system is very interesting because it's kind of a bluffing game. You're trying to guess. You're trying to guess what the opponent's doing. There's a lot of, I think, resources on BGG which people have done an analysis of, statistically speaking, what are the chances of Balrog throwing a projectile? Pretty low. He probably has mostly strikes because he's a, sort of a up close and personal kind of guy. But then you have someone like Ryu or Guile. Yeah, maybe it's a 50-50 chance. They're going to be throwing projectiles at you. So between strike, projectile, and special can sometimes be either a strike, like sort of strike-based or range-based. It's an interesting mix, and you end up having to guess very interestingly how it works out and whether you can counter it or not. Otherwise, you're blocking and hoping for the best and boosting those blocks when you need it. So the rule book, I feel, outlines everything quite well. I think there are a few things that people complained about, but you've got the setup, you've got all the keywords, you've got different modes that it has in, and it tells you how the combo system works, how to perform your ultras, and also the attack sequence. So everything's in here, which I think is really interesting. I think one of the things that I kind of missed was the way movement is done. You're given one free action to move, and that has to be done before you declare your costed actions. So I can't play my attack as a costed action and then play another attack as a costed action and then save my free movement till after. That makes a difference because I feel like in Street Fighter, when you're playing, I go in, I do a couple attacks, and then I want to move. I want to move back. I want to get out of range, or I want to get out of being adjacent. I want to plan for my next attack. And obviously it's happening simultaneously, so that's different, but this is turn-based. So I feel like there would be an element where position could matter. You do your attacks, you save your free movement for the end, and then you move for that purpose. But I think just to keep things close and tight, I think that's why they did it that way. So there is a specific order. You cannot shift that order around. I think overall, I've been having a lot of fun with this. And for sure, you can go online, you can see a lot of gameplay videos, you can see playthroughs or whatnot. But what I've been focusing on is the solo variant. Now, there's several solo variants posted on BGG. And one of them caught my eye. I forgot, who was it? No Time for Friends? No, wasn't it? Friends Not Needed. I think that's his handle on YouTube. And he has a playthrough. He created a sort of solo variant, and there's at least 2 other ones. Each of them I feel vary in terms of their complexity. I think the more complicated ones represent as best as they can what an AI would do or what a human would do. And the one that is Friends Not Needed, the one that he created, is sort of in the middle. I don't think it's overly complex, but I think it's straightforward enough to follow through to get a decent experience. Now, like with anything else that doesn't have a true solo baked in, you're shoehorning this at the end of the day. I shoehorned Doom with solo. I shoehorned Batman Arkham City, the board game, Arkham City Escape, the board game. That was the one that was, for me, the most successful. I really enjoyed that. I even shoehorned a solo for Mega Man, the board game. So in those situations, I feel it's not perfect. It'll never be perfect. AIs are never perfect. But when you shoehorn it in, it's even less perfect because most of the other solo games that actually have it baked in, you have a deck of events that you draw from and a movement and so forth. With Street Fighter, it's very difficult to have that because there's so many variables to consider that I feel that is one of the challenges of having an AI. But Friends Not Needed did a pretty good job. But I decided to augment it a little bit. And what I did was I sort of came up, well, I'm going to go with the defense first. So this is mostly based on what Friends Not Needed had. And so I'm going to give him credit here, obviously, because it's the right thing to do. What I did was I did a flowchart, sort of a action mapping. And this is the defense algorithm. And basically, as the AI defender, when I do the attack, you're going to roll one of these dice. All right, you're going to roll one of the die, and whatever result you get, depending on the result, you will do an action. So, for example, if the AI roll, if you roll, and that means the AI, and you rolled a fist or double fist, that means the AI has chosen to do a counterattack. And in that, you're going to reveal 2 cards from the AI battle deck, which is the character deck, and you're going to reveal them one at a time. And then for each of the revealed cards, you're going to check. You're going to check if the counter at the bottom, the type, matches what the player played. And you'll see that if it's a yes, you're going to resolve the counterattack. If it's a no, you're going to discard a card. Then you're going to reveal a second card to see if it matches. If it doesn't match, that means they failed the counter. If you rolled a fist with a shield or a shield, that is considered a regular block. And the AI will just roll 2 dice, hopefully get a couple blocks in there, and that's it. If the AI rolls the meter, that's considered the boosted block. And this is slightly different than what Friends Not Needed, his solo AI. It's slightly different. What I decided to do was I consider this a boosted block, and that means you'll have two battle die plus the 2 because you boosted. But then on top of that, you'll roll another die again, and if you roll another meter, you get plus 2, up to a maximum of 8. If you roll anything else, that's it. You basically stop rolling, and you would assemble the pool, and then you would roll it to do the defense. So in my mind, I think in Friends Not Needed, the maximum you can always get is just plus 2. So the maximum the AI would roll with a boosted is 4. But realistically, as a player, I may have 2 or 3 cards that have that defense, and I may want to boost it. So I roll it. So this would account for that option to have more boosts in your defense. Okay, when it comes to the AI's turn to attack, I wrote some notes here because I would say this is version 1. I have version 2 because I missed out some things, but that's okay. But this is probably the ugliest flowchart I've ever made, and probably anyone has ever seen. But and I feel like this is how complicated the decision making is for the AI, which makes it very difficult to create an AI. So this isn't perfect. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it helps me, and it makes my solo AI experience very good. So obviously the AI is going to start with 2 actions. The first thing he'll check is whether or not it has a full meter. Okay, so if it has a full meter, it's going to do an ultra. So I'll stop that for now. I'm not going to continue. But let's just assume it doesn't have a full meter, so it's a no. That's where I forgot to write no. So it's going to draw 1 card from the AI deck at that time, and it's going to draw face down. And at that point, the player, which would be me, chooses to block or counter. I can boost my block however I want. And then from there, we're going to reveal the card. Whatever the card type is, if it's a free action, you're going to resolve it. But then you get to draw another card. If the revealed card is a response or a reaction or an invalid card, then you would discard it and draw another card. Now, this is one of the differences when it comes to the AI is the response cards, and obviously the more complicated solo rules out there can factor in response cards, but I've just negated that because I feel like there are other things that I've allowed the AI to do that offset not using response cards. So you can easily just take them out of the deck, but for quick setups, just discard it and move on. If the card type is a valid attack or event, or a valid card, which is an attack or event, then you would check if the free move action has been used. If it hasn't, then you would move up to you take that free action and move up to the speed. The AI would do that. Then you would check to see if the card has movement. So, sorry, going back here, if the free movement has already been used, you would then check to see if the card has movement. If the card has movement, then you would see and check if the movement puts the AI within line of sight and range. If the card doesn't have movement, you would just do a direct check. Is the AI within range and within line of sight? I marked the line of sight there. Okay, so let's just say if the movement, the card has movement, it puts the AI within range. So then you would resolve, and then you have action -1. So now you're sort of keeping track of the number of actions. So now in this mock mental setup, it's -1, which means the AI has 1 action left. You would resolve the attack. If the attack did damage, you would check to see if the card has a combo link. If it does, you would draw 4 cards from the AI deck, all 4 at once, and you would check for any matching combo links. If there are no matching combo links, then you would end the combo, or have no combo, and you discard all the cards, in which case you'd go back here and check if the AI has any actions left. So I'll come back to this point in a minute. If you have matching combo links, then you would select as many as you can, which would link together and are valid, and then you would do a sort of an if statement. For each valid combo attack, you would resolve it. If you do damage, you would cycle and then do the next one. If you don't do any damage, that means your combo ends, and then you'd go back to checking whether the AI has any actions left. This would also account for if you have no more combo cards to play. So not just no damage, but no more cards to play, which I noted here. You would check if the AI has any actions left. So if the AI still has actions left, it would go back and check if the meter is full, and you'd go through that process again. If the AI doesn't have any actions left, then you would end the turn. So just going back over here, if you reveal the card and you come down and let's say you did a counter. If the counter was a success, the action, I think I'm missing a piece here, which is great. If it was countered and a success, action would be -1, and then you check to see if the action AI has any actions left, and you would either draw from the card again, or it has no actions left, and you would end the turn. Sorry, now that I'm seeing it, if it's a counter and failure, then you would proceed to go straight to resolving back to moving on to the card type, okay? So if it's a counter and success, otherwise it's not a success and you'd move forward. So maybe I don't have to add anything. So if you come up to this part right here, if you have a card, you've done your move, the card has movement, and does it put the AI within range? It doesn't. So then you'd go up here and you would check if the AI has any actions left. If it has an action, then you would spend an action to move up to speed and then check if the AI was in range. If the AI doesn't have any actions left, then you would say no, and then instead you would cancel that attack, and instead the AI would move. So that's one of the key differences about the AI. The AI, one of the difference here is the AI, it's not thinking and planning ahead, because there's no way. You're drawing cards blindly. So the flexibility here is that the AI can change its mind. So if originally you draw an attack, but it's not going to put the AI within range of you, then it's not going to just follow through with it blindly. So it will change its tactic and then move away, especially if it doesn't have any actions left. Okay. So once that action has been spent, because it has no actions left, it's going to go all the way around and end the turn. If you go here and the AI is within range and you say yes it is, it would resolve the attack. If it's not, it's going to check if it has any actions left. If it does, it's going to move speed and then come back. If it doesn't, it's going to move away and then end the turn. So I've worked this out to the point where I feel like this captures most of the situations. I've played it 3 times with this AI, and I've made a couple, revisions. Oh, the other thing I also noted was I have some golden rules. The AI is always going to choose to attack whenever possible, except if it can't get within range. The AI will always move such that it gains any edge benefits on the card if possible. So, for example, if it gains +1 edge dice on range 3 and has a free move, it will move to within range 3 so that it can benefit from that. If the AI meter is full, the AI will execute the ultra within range. Otherwise, the AI will use meter to boost the EX or pay for super attacks when possible. So that's sort of a golden rule. So right here, if you looked, I forgot to go back, if the AI meter is full, it's going to execute the ultra, at which case the player's only choice is to block. And then again, you check, has the free movement been used? Yes or no? Does the card have movement? Yes or no? Is the AI within range? Yes or no? Did you combo? Yes or no? Did you do damage? Yes or no? That's my light about to go out on me. So I feel like that encompasses most of the decision making. So I think once you get through the first flow of it and you understand all the options, then it's a little bit easier. So I've played this multiple times where I don't really have to refer to this as much, but I thought that this was a great way for people who have the game and maybe some of the solo variants are too complicated, or too many things to refer back to, or too many conditions. And then maybe you're a visual person, so maybe this actually helps. Rather than sort of type it out on a grid or in a table, you have a decision tree, and this helps learn the process a lot easier. So yeah, so that's basically my solo variant. And what I like to do is I would like to get the table set up and have a playthrough of, or at least a couple rounds, to show you how the AI works in conjunction with the algorithm that I have. And I hope that actually, let me just quickly backtrack. I actually asked the seller of this, why are you selling? And he actually included the solo. I don't know why I didn't refer to this when I was talking initially, but it's this one. Friends not required. Solo gaming. That's the guy who did this, right? So you can see he's gotten a lot of text that he's rolled out. He's got the defense sequence that I've based mine on a lot, and the AI turn. So there's a lot of text, it's very wordy. So I feel for people like me, less wordy, more visual, and yes or no decisions. So I feel like it's an AI is all about that, making those decisions. Yeah, does it capture everything? Probably 10%. It might not be accounted for. Fine, discard and just play it till it works for you. But when I asked the seller, I said, "Why are you selling it?" He said to me that he mostly plays solo now. I think maybe before COVID, or I don't know. Maybe there's more group gaming, or maybe lifestyle change, or maybe circumstance change. And he basically said, "Yeah, I play mostly solo now, and my friends aren't interested in this game, and it doesn't come to the table as often. So why have it sit on the shelf when someone like me can sort of scoop it up and enjoy it?" And every single game that I have where I've shoehorned solo, I still enjoy it, even to this day. I have no regrets because I really enjoy playing solo, even if it's playing me versus me. I'm totally okay with it. I play Exceed, and Exceed, sure, you can kind of do a solo variant for that too, but I'm fine playing me against me. I don't mind. My memory is so bad these days that if I play a card and then the other me plays a card, I probably don't remember what first me played. So anyways, I'm going to get the table set up. I'm going to set up for maybe Ken versus Ryu classic matchup, and show you how the AI, or my AI variant, flows. I'll see you soon.